my God, look, that's a tornado.
At this point, the most active tornado day for Christmas Day that we know of. There it is.
The real issue today was the freezing rain. We had a lot of accidents around town, at least a half a dozen with injuries.
Just a huge sprawling storm.
I hope everyone heeds the warnings and stays safe.
Really, we have several days more to go with the winter impacts from Winter Storm Euclid.
Jesus, please keep your hands on whoever's over there.
Some scary times in Mobile, Alabama last night. They weren't alone. A lot of reports over the last 12 to 24 hours. This is what we're looking at across the South. You notice all the tornado reports. We had them across Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and did not quite get to Georgia. So that's the good news here in the Peach State. We did have quite a few of these severe reports, especially in the afternoon and evening hours. We had one fatality from a falling tree outside of Houston. That is the only one we know of at this time. So it could have been much worse here on Christmas Day. This is the setup as we see it this morning. We've got our storm system wrapping up. The center of circulation is moving into Tennessee. The stormiest side is across the southeast flank of all this. We've got a line of storms that's been rolling across southern Georgia around I-75 east of Albany. We're reaching into Tallahassee and Apalachicola. The tornado watch has dropped out. So that's the good news here. We have no warnings and no watches in effect right now. So we've seen the change and things are a little bit quieter than they were a few hours ago. We've got heavy rain that is rolling through Augusta and into the upstate of South Carolina, approaching Columbia. Atlanta, you're just about done now. Believe it or not, Atlanta north, you might see some snow flurries later on this afternoon as colder air moves in. So a big change in the temperature is moving into the city. We have got rain that is moving through the mountains of North Carolina, even some snow around Grandfather Mountain, maybe Mount Mitchell, the highest elevations. We'll be talking about wintry stuff. We've got rainfall here across eastern Kentucky and rain in Nashville, but not too far away. Snowflakes are flying. In terms of the severe weather outlook for today, we're watching Virginia, especially southeastern Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, eastern Georgia, and then down across Florida. This is where the instability will live. We could see some isolated tornadoes, gusty winds, and hail. It should not be quite as active as yesterday, but still some potentially damaging storms. And you want to make sure you keep a close eye on the weather today. Meanwhile, we've got the rainy side to all of this, not just the severe reports, but heavy rain. Atlanta is one spot that has seen plenty of it, over 2.5 inches of rain out of this event over the last couple of days. That is much needed rain and no severe reports around Atlanta. So we just really are looking at smiling faces here. The lakes are going to fill up a little bit. We really need the rainfall in this part of the country. If we look at the forecast moving forward, could see an inch of rain in Charlotte through Friday morning, 1 to 2 inches in Raleigh. The heaviest total is expected to be far eastern North Carolina. We could see a couple inches of rainfall, and 1 to 2 in D.C., so a pretty good soaking moving into the capital. A couple of floods out there right now. Flash flood watch. This is mainly in the more mountainous regions outside of Greenville, South Carolina, extreme northeastern Georgia. We've seen some heavy rain and some runoff could lead to some localized flooding. Then we go to the wintry side of all this. We're seeing these warnings track off to the north and east. Mike Seidel was in Oklahoma City yesterday. He filed this report.
Good morning, Eric. It was a blustery and frigid Christmas day in Oklahoma City. We started off before sunrise, about the time Santa left town, with freezing rain. That led to a lot of accidents, including some injuries and a big pileup out on Interstate, including 3 semis and 18 cars. Some injuries there. That was all set off by a semi jackknifing on an icy overpass. Then later in the morning and through the early afternoon, we had some snow. You can see some of that on the ground, 0.6 of an inch. That's it. But it was the first snowfall of the season here in Oklahoma City. What really got to you on Christmas Day was the biting wind. Wind chills were in the single numbers all day, and we had wind gusts pushing 40 miles an hour. So a real blustery cold day, and it's going to be cold again later on today. We'll see the sunshine, but highs will not get up to freezing, and that's pretty unusual for Oklahoma City. It does happen, but not often. The average high for the day after Christmas is just about 50 degrees. Eric, back to you.
Stay warm there. Mike's actually on the move, as you probably come to expect. He's all over the map here. We've got him moving to Buffalo, New York. We've got Dave Malkoff. He is just outside of Indianapolis. He'll be in Fishers, Indiana. That starts later this morning. And Jim Cantori is in Mobile, Alabama. So we've got team coverage out there and perhaps more joining the fray here as we move through the next couple of days. We've got winter storm warnings that are still in effect for Little Rock. They're going to drop out shortly as the snow is tapering off, as will the blizzard warnings in effect here. But farther upstream, moving into the lower Ohio Valley, then through Indianapolis, outside of Cleveland and west of Columbus. We've got the blizzard warnings up. I haven't haven't seen blizzard conditions so far today, but certainly some heavy snowfall rates, some gusty winds are going to create some hazardous travel. Then by tonight, the snow is moving into western New York, and some of the biggest totals of all out of this storm are probably going to be in upstate New York and reaching into northern New England. We're going to be talking about significant impacts of Boston, Providence, down toward New York. You're going to get a front end blast of snow, but then change over to rain relatively quickly. We look at the snow this morning, now becoming lighter around Poplar Bluff, starting to taper off in Jonesboro. Little Rock is done. Paducah, you're looking at some light snow, but the heavier stuff has been in here across southern Illinois and now southern Indiana. Carbondale just came in with a report of 7 inches of snow. Pretty impressive total, and that moisture fetch is rotating in here. So we're going to be looking at some half-foot or greater totals as we head into the morning hours. Light snow now being reported in Indianapolis, so it has begun for you. It's going to be a very wintry day all across Indiana, so travel is going to be difficult. Cincinnati, you're right on the border. Eventually, you'll change over to all snow. Most of Ohio dealing with the snowfall out of this one also. You look at the visibility, about 1.25 miles in Evansville, 1.25 miles in Paducah. You need a 1/4 mile or less for blizzard conditions. So while it's not great out there, snowfall rates are heavy at times. We're not seeing a blizzard per se. You look at our StormCon values moving forward. Cleveland at 8 out of 10, so very significant impacts today. Buffalo by this afternoon and evening, the snow moves in. Huge totals over a foot expected here. Same story for Syracuse. You've got a StormCon of 8. Remember, it's been pretty much snow-free until recently, and now we're starting to bring it in. Winter has arrived. Indianapolis, here's the timing. A winter impact of 7 out of 10, 6 to 10 inches of snow expected today. The wind will start to pick up, gusting over 35 miles per hour. Tonight, the snow showers start to taper off. Lows back into the 20s. We stay in the low 30s tomorrow, so not much melting going on, and certainly travel is not going to be very advisable today. You look at some of the totals we're expecting. A solid 3 to 6 inches in here. Locally, we'll see over half a foot. 6 to 12 for southern Indiana, reaching up toward Indy and reaching right across Ohio. Around Cleveland in the northeast corner of the state, could see over a foot of snow out of this, and we're certainly expecting over a foot here across western New York. Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo. And then the mountains of New England, 6 to 12 inches here across Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. If you're a snowmobiler, a skier, snowboarder, you are loving this forecast. Not great for travel, great for everything else. We also are going to be talking about 3 to 6 inches of snow across the Berkshires and into the Worcester Hills. So outside of Boston, we are going to be talking about a fairly significant winter event. I-70, your worst travel for this morning as we get you out on the roads. In St. Louis, it'll be early on, generally light snow there. Heading toward Indianapolis this morning through 11 p.m. So it's really all day along I-70 here in Indiana. The plows are going to be working overtime. And then as we head farther east along I-70 this morning through 11 o'clock also into Columbus. So it's mainly an all-day event, day after Christmas. If you've got family plans, you're traveling, it's going to be a slow slog out there on the roads. In the air, if you're heading to the airports, here's where we expect some problems. Christmas on a Tuesday, always a little bit more difficult. A lot of folks have to be back at work for Wednesday or Thursday. Memphis, anticipating a lot of wind there. Some morning snow showers. Atlanta, very windy and colder today. Big storms moving through Raleigh and Cincinnati, a wintry mix. All could be looking at some significant slowdowns. Stay with us here on First Forecast. On the heels of this storm, big chill rolling down from the north. We'll tell you who's getting much colder. And imagine escaping a school bus just moments before it ended up inside a building. We'll talk to the bus driver who survived the fury of an EF4 tornado as we look back at this year out of season. Good morning. Welcome back. If you're tuning in from Indianapolis, it's probably because you're a little bit excited, maybe a little bit worried about the weather rolling in. Well, the snowflakes have started to fly. It's a live look at the city right now on I-65. Snow starting to come down heavily just south of the city. A very snowy day ahead. Be very careful if you need to get out on the roads. We're talking about upwards of 6 to 12 inches of snow coming down across a good part of the state. We're coming close to the start of On the Radar, and Stephanie Abrams will join me at the top of the hour for the top 5 stories. Steph, I think snow is at the forefront of our minds today.
It is. We saw, 6 inches north of the Dallas area. We saw 12 inches in Arkansas. And as you just mentioned, it's making its way on into the Midwest. And we are going to have live reports on the 2 sides of winter storm. From Fishers, Indiana, on the storm's snow threat. Little Rock's already seen 9 inches. I actually saw a report in Arkansas of a foot of snow. And then Jim Cantori picks up the tail of Euclid's severe side. He's going to show us the damage in Mobile, Alabama, where there was an EF1. Murphy High School was damaged, several businesses. and some homes as well around downtown Mobile. Their live reports are going to begin at 6 Eastern on a special expanded edition of Wake.
All right, Steph, looking forward to it. We'll see you in just a few minutes here. Right now, we want to take some time and take a look back. This year ending the way it began with tornado trouble. Our own Jen Carfagno looks back at some of the most destructive tornadoes of this year.
69 tornadoes, 9 of them killer, resulting in 40 deaths in 12 states.
Just on the heels of 2011, where Tuscaloosa and Joplin are still fresh in our minds, all of a sudden, here we go again with another historic tornado outbreak.
Things were falling, things were coming off the walls, noise, crashes, glass flying everywhere. It was like a dream.
Probably the most noteworthy tornado was an EF4 that hit Henryville, Indiana.
With wind speeds topping 170 miles an hour, it devastated this tight-knit community.
I'll never forget the people's faces when we were getting into town. I mean, they're just like zombies, walking out of town with whatever they could grab. These kids are just in shock. I mean, you can just tell. It's totally flipped the town upside down.
Homes were reduced to rubble, and both the elementary and the junior-senior high school were destroyed. The destruction was captured on security cameras, as well as the split-second decision of school bus driver Angel Perry to get the 11 children on her bus back to the school in a hurry.
Look at their surveillance video. You can see the kids getting off the bus, getting into the school, and then boom, here comes the tornado.
Ended up across the street, thrown into a restaurant.
I just thought, I need to get on that bus. I need to show everybody what that bus looks like from the inside out. And I mean, of course, it was just mangled.
There was another very noteworthy tornado, perhaps a record tornado for its location in eastern Kentucky and West Virginia, carved at least an 85-mile-per-hour path across West Liberty, Kentucky.
This EF3 tornado definitely left its mark.
I just thought, you know, it was over. And I just held my husband's hand. And I thought we was all dead.
All throughout the week, we'll focus on the big weather stories of the year. Then you can join us on Friday night for a special on 2012, A Year Out of Season. It premieres at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Will air again at 11 o'clock Eastern right here on the Weather Channel. Busy start to the year, busy end to the year for severe weather. We're also talking about a big change in the temperature department this morning. If you live across the northern plains, look at those numbers. Actually, look away. You're probably not going to want to see it. You definitely don't want to walk outside. It's 0 in Sioux Falls, 0 in Rapid City, 6 below in North Platte, Nebraska, and 6 degrees in Minneapolis out the door. That's some of the colder air that was drawn southward, allowing us to get our winter storm. And it's going to continue to track south and east. Today, a high of 28 in Kansas City, staying in the teens in Minneapolis, maybe for heading out, doing a little bit of shopping or traveling after Christmas. Very cold weather, a little bit better tomorrow. 24 degrees, your high temp there. But 42 in Memphis, 35 in Lexington, and 31 in Pittsburgh as we get into your Thursday. Dallas, well, what a change. We had thunderstorms and hail this time yesterday morning. Then it just poured outside. Then it snowed a couple inches. We got a white Christmas. Today, temperatures running about 15 to 20 degrees below average, a high of 36. But we're back into the upper 40s tomorrow and near 50 by the time we get towards Saturday, mid-50s on Sunday. And a dry forecast through the end of the weekend. Denver, very cold Christmas day for you. Now we rebound to the mid-20s today and tomorrow. We've had some fresh snow on the ground. We're back into the mid-30s by Saturday and Sunday. You've also got a fairly dry stretch. There's a look at where we've got our blizzard warnings, winter storm watches anywhere from Arkansas right up the Ohio River Valley and into the Northeast. And coming up next, we've got our full winter weather update. We're going to talk about what's going on with Euclid, what we expect over the next couple of days, and who will see some of those biggest snow totals. We'll talk about it in depth with all your details after your local weather on the 8s, so keep it here.